I have lived in Fleet now for the last 30 years, and my dad was in the army, has moved around all the time, and I think he used to live in Reading. He and my mother lived in Reading. She died 4.5 years ago. And when he found that he couldn't really cope with the garden was when he started thinking about moving. And he found out about Clare Park, and the fact that it was near to me did have a big bearing, and so that's why he decided to come here. He had to sell his own house first of all, and then he came to live here, and that was about 7 or 8 months ago now.
And how did he find out about Clare?
From a magazine, I think it was an army magazine, that it was advertised there, and he found out about it there. Came along to visit. We came along, first of all, just he and I. Then we came along with my brother, and just thought it was just such a lovely place. And then worked out the finances and about him selling his house. And then, as I say, we were very lucky with how quickly he sold his house, because I think that could have delayed things. But once the bungalow became available, he always wanted to be in one of the bungalows. He didn't want to live in the big house. He wanted to have the independence of a bungalow. And once one became available, he went along with it. And once we found here and we looked at it and we liked it very much, that was the only place really that we wanted him to come to.
Didn't feel that it was worth looking at other places?
No, we didn't. It was just...
So what was it about that gave you such an impression when you came to visit?
We liked the fact how close it was to me. The beautiful grounds. We were very impressed when the Colonel showed us around, and we must have visited about 5 times. So he showed us into different bungalows. He explained how some of the bungalows you could make alterations, and we decided when we saw the one that Dad had been offered that we wanted to take the wall down that made one big sitting room rather than a hall and a sitting room. And also, Colonel Wilkinson suggested putting a front on the bungalow, so it makes what my father and I jokingly called the conservatory. But that made a difference. Once we talked about that, all those sorts of things, that's what we decided to go for.
It's quite good being able to make your own modifications.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Isn't it?
And it was completely redecorated. The only stipulation was it couldn't be cerise pink or anything like that. It had to be a pastel colour, but we didn't have to be put off by whatever colours were there. We could choose what colours we wanted. We were invited to have come for lunch before we decided to come here, and the food's absolutely beautiful, and that was very nice. We were invited as guests to just come along and have lunch here, and so that impressed me, because of course he was feeding himself, which wasn't ideal really, and the food's absolutely beautiful.
He tends to eat at the main house, doesn't cook for himself.
He has lunch. He has lunch there, and he does his own breakfast and his own supper. I think some of the other residents have all their meals. They don't want to worry about cooking, so they have all their meals. But he has lunch. And he very much wanted a garden. He's a very keen gardener, and of course the bungalows have got little gardens, which he loves that. He loves being there. And it was the thing, I think, what we felt was he was being taken care of, but it wasn't a nursing home. He still had a lot of freedom. He's got his own car, so he can go out and go and do his own shopping and things like that. And
some of the residents I've spoken to have said they really wanted to keep independent. And
yes.
It seems to be a place where you can have both.
Absolutely. You can go off and do your own thing. And all they ask is that you sign out. If you want to go out for the day, just so that if they have a fire drill, then they know that Major Blight's missing, or they've gone out for the day. And it was nice that the Colonel said that he could have visitors. He could have them for lunch. There's a visitor's bedroom. So that if he had somebody who wants to come and stay, in fact I think he's got somebody coming up fairly soon, coming up from Devon, so you just book the spare room for your visitors. So again, that's nice. It's your home. It was very much emphasised, this is your home, not a home. And you're completely independent. You can do whatever you want. You can choose to join in the activities if you want to, or if you don't want to join in, then you don't have to do that.
Are there plenty of activities?
Oh, every month there's a little sheet that goes out, and They do movement, sort of exercises, which I don't think my father would be very keen. He doesn't do that. But their talks and their theatre trips, and there's always something to do. There's a little leaflet that goes out every month, and so they can, and again, they can choose to do that if they want to. There's things like recently there's been the summer garden party. At Christmas time, of course, it was lovely. Dad moved in November, and it was nice because it just coincided with Christmas, and so there was the lovely Christmas party and the staff party and things like that. And it was all beautifully decorated at Christmas. That was nice. And
how's he found the staff here?
Oh, absolutely wonderful. He's being, in his words, he's being cleaned out now by Tricia, and Tricia, she's very kind to him, very, very kind indeed. And he just says that every one of them has been kind and helpful and thoughtful, and they've always got time to chat and things like that. So, and the waitresses, they always chat. He's a terrible chatter, my dad is, and he chats away to them. And the day we moved in was lovely. I mean, Colonel Wilkinson had asked if we wanted sandwiches, how many did we want, how many of us were there, the removal people, and just as we're sort of there surrounded by boxes, a little tray of sandwiches came trundling round for us, and that was lovely. That was really, I'd brought tea and coffee and things like that, but hadn't thought of making sandwiches, and that was very welcoming.
So how do you and your brother feel about your father being here?
Very safe. The main thing is we feel he's safe. Very good example was when it was that terrible weather, the snow. And my brother phoned and he said, I haven't heard from Dad. And I said, what do you expect me to do about it? I can't get out of my house. I can't get out of the cul-de-sac. And I said, we don't have to worry. We know that people came, they phoned him up and said, is there any shopping we can do for you? He said, oh, I just need some milk and bread. So somebody came down from the kitchen with some milk and some bread for him, and then went off and did his bits of shopping. The paths were all cleared so that they were safe. If any of the residents didn't want to walk up to the dining room because they didn't feel safe, somebody came to get them or brought their lunch down. That was a very good example of how they're taken care of here without any intrusion. There's no intrusion at all. You can be completely and utterly private. But then that was a great comfort. To know he was safe, whereas if he'd been where he was, I don't know what, I'd have been ringing up his neighbours. Could you just check in, see if he's all right, and check that he's got his hot water, his water hasn't frozen, or he's got some bread or anything like that. So no, he's very safe here. That's how we feel.